time. Okay, so now it looks like a third video is starting. Okay, because my phone just let me know that I just went over 4 gigabytes for some reason. Okay, so now you can consider this to be the third video that's got to do with, it's going to be titled Brain-to-Computer Interface, Remote Neural Monitoring, Gangstalking. So, the other 2 videos, or if it's the other video might be an hour long or a little bit over an hour, like an hour and 6 or 14 minutes. Trust me, you'll know you're in the right video when you go into the YouTube account in order to see the first 2. Okay, so this is the continuation where I left off at in a second. So this is an ultrasound detector app. I just brought it up just live right now at a wooded area in San Diego, California. So you can see that this is reading out, right? Okay, so as a direct result of you seeing this being read out, you can obviously see that ultrasonic sound is interfacing with me in my ears. Google ultrasonic sound bone conduction torture and gang stalking. I got over 4,000 snap screenshots on 4 separate phones showing this sick shit. This is a readout snap screenshot from September 22nd. Wait a minute, hold it. September 22nd, 2021. Hold on a second. Oh, I took this early. Oh, I know what I did. This is a snap screenshot of a snap screenshot. That's why it's showing today's date. Okay, sorry about that. It was taken from these earlier readouts that are, sorry. Bear with me and stay with me, don't go nowhere. Okay, because before I went to go make this video, I went and took some snap screenshots of snap screenshots so I can have them easily accessible, so when I made the video, I could just show them. You know, I could just easily show them instead of having to look for them. So that was just a snap screenshot of some snap screenshots, of the snap screenshots I took when I used the app on an earlier date. Okay, now to get back into the meat and potatoes of where I left off at in video 2, which was a segue from video 1, I was talking about these ear implants and how, and trigger words, and how words and phrases that are identically repeated around gang stalking victims, each victim can be in, what is said around each victim can be different. I exposed what's being said around me in the first and second video, and then in the first and second video I discussed about how each word and phrase has its own specific sound frequency that can be determined by and through bringing up a sound spectrum analyzer. So, if you have an ear implant in you, and they're using the community-based gang stalking to prop up people around you to repeat identical words and phrases, because each one of those identical words and phrases that your ear processes, especially if you got an ear implant in you, has their own specific sound frequencies. Trust me, it's happening, baby. It doesn't matter what you believe or don't believe. It's happening. I mean, you're seeing this for a reason, okay? So Google, I'm going to bring this up just in case you run across this video before seeing the first 2. And the first 2 videos might actually be in one video. An hour-long video, or they might be in 2 separate ones that are 33 minutes and 9 seconds each. Okay, this microcard on this phone is just freaky. Hold on a second. So let's see if we can let this zoom in. I was zooming in fine on the first 2 videos. It won't seem to zoom in fine now. Alright, we'll just hold it there for a second. So I'll continue to talk. Bear with me one second. Let me light a cigarette. Now check this out. So, you can find this pictorial attachment by going to Google and typing in at Google brain-to-computer interface, implants, and gang stalking. Okay? And then look at the images that Google will generate to you, and you'll find it. Trust me. Okay? This used to be on UnitedTargetIndividualsEurope.com's website back in 2009 and 10. Okay? And they got a different one on there now, but a lot of the text that's on this one is on that one. And I'm really starting to wonder why the hell is this not... Hold on. I'm wondering why in the hell this isn't zooming in like it was in the first 2. Okay, so let's just proceed forward in reference to where I left off at in the second video. You want to definitely go into this YouTube account and watch the videos. Okay, you'll know you're in the right pictorial attachment when you Google it, because you're going to be able to see these 3 same things. And then you'll be able to see the text, just in case you're not able to see it in this one if it doesn't zoom in. Let me do this real fast. Hold on. Okay. Nope. Sorry. Alright. Now, how do you think a gang-stalking victim might be able to catch gang-stalking demonic rats in their own game? So, if you got an ear implant in you, or even if you don't, because remote neural monitoring is also reported to be able to work concerning monitoring the audio cortex and interfacing with the brains and the brain's functions like the visual cortex, the audio cortex, and the neurological processes without implants. But let's just say you got a victim who's got the implants, who's enduring community-based harassment, and part of that community-based harassment is where they're propping up people to get around you and say the same exact identical words and phrases. In this first and second video, I talked about a sound spectrum analyzer. You bring it up, you write down on a piece of paper the words gang stalk, oh my god, suck my DSEK, suck DSEK. And I know that's descriptive, I apologize for that. Now, I showed you what to do in the first and second videos when you're using the sound spectrum analyzer. So go into this account and watch for the video. I'm going to go out of my way to make sure that these videos are titled right away. So you'll know which one is video 1 and which one's 2. They'll both have the same titles. Or if there's 3, they'll all 3 have the same titles. Except 1, 2, and 3 will have a 1, 2, and 3 at the end of it. Alright, hold on. Now. I'm smoking a cigarette, so bear with me. Hang on one second. Now, in the second video, I talked about the time differential between remote neural monitoring's ability to be able to interpret and decode what the brain is processing, including the brain's audio cortex, including the brain. When the trigger words are said around me, you better be damn sure, hold on, sorry about the interruptions, you better be damn sure that when you see this ultrasound detector app running right now, I just brought it back up, and I'm going to let you stare at that for a minute so you can see. And these are lower readings compared to what I'm usually for. 95% of the time, I'm usually forced to experience extremely high decibels between 21.67 and 8,000 hertz. Extremely high decibels, even going past 71 dB SPLs. Non-stop, every second of every minute of every hour of every day, including when I'm sleeping. 90% of the time in the right ear. Okay? So you can see it's recording right now, and I'm at a wooded area. So it's meaning that you can see the app's picking it up. And by the way, the founder of this app, when you go into this app, let me just check something here. When you go into the About feature of this app, okay, when you bring it up, when you first download it, it's going to be able to show you that this app was also, it literally says that this app can catch voice to skull. Because ultrasonic sound can be a conduit for voice to skull. Google that to gang stalking. So when they say the word gang stalk, at the same time my brain is processing, and my ear is processing, and then my brain is processing the sound frequencies of those words, those sound frequencies are also superimposed onto a specific sound decibel and frequency level at the same time. Now, that's a little bit more complex. I'm not going to necessarily go there in this particular video because what I'm exposing is enough for you to be able to see the subject matter. But you got to watch the first and second video, man. It's going to blow your mind. Okay? Now, how can a gang stalking victim catch these satanic rats? Because they're like rabid dogs. Okay, there's a lot of things that interfere with remote neural monitoring ability to stay latched onto you. That was discussed in the second video. Multitasking, listening to music, singing, humming. Okay? Because when you're singing and humming, and when you're doing multitasking, and when you're listening to music, that causes different neuronal processes to fire that are not attached to the entrained pathway they're latched onto you on. And trying to reinforce. Okay, hold on. Because you got to remember, when you look at this diagram, trigger words are there for a reason. And I'm finding it really unusual that this phone is not zooming in and you're able to see it clearly like you were in the first 2 videos. What happened there? Okay, so you got to make sure you watch the first 2 videos. And this image is online. Okay? Now, so the trigger words is openly apparent is directly connected to gang stalking. This used to be, again, a pictorial attachment that used to be on UnitedTargetIndividualsEurope.com's website. Let's see if I can do this. Hold on. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch the lighting just for a second. Alright, looks like it might be trying to zoom in now. Hold on. I say, let me change the lighting just for a second. Alright, so it doesn't... Yeah, there we go. Okay. So let me unzoom it. Okay. Oh. Okay. So what you want to do is take a snap screenshot of that. Okay. And you can find this, again, through Google. Now, when I zoom in on this, you're going to be able to see that gangstalking is directly connected to the trigger words. The trigger words are directly connected to the ear implant. The ear implant is directly connected to the brain-to-computer interface, which can also mean a brain implant. Brain-to-computer interface is remote neural monitoring. You can also have implants in the back of the head, the back of the neck, and all through the spine. Okay? And then since I showed this in the first and second video, I'm going to show it in the third too. These are my eyes. These are non-consensual remote neural monitoring lens implants in my eyes. Bring up this YouTube video. They are somewhat detailed concerning why they're there in that YouTube video. So what one way that you can prove remote neural monitoring is intentionally interfacing with the ear implants, or at least your audio cortex through remote neural monitoring, which is brain-to-computer interface, and brain-to-computer interface can also be assisted by and through a brain implant in the midbrain, and then the antenna lead goes all the way up to the top. Okay? So, what is one way that you might be able to prove these 6 satanic horrors are going way out of their way to force you to hear the trigger words? Each trigger word has its own specific sound frequency to it. When you bring up a sound spectrum analyzer and you say gang of gangstalk, the sound spectrum analyzer is more than likely going to read out to you 86 as you're saying the gang of gangstalk. I'm sorry, the gang of gang. When you're saying gang of gang, it's going to read 86. And then when you say the ang of gang, it's going to say 107. Concerning the sound frequency output connected to that word. Right? And you got to remember, auditorial resonance brain entrainment is directly connected to gangstalking. Trigger words are used in gangstalking for multiple purposes. Okay? So, if you got an ear implant in you, put there non-consensually without your knowledge, and they're propping up, if they're using community-based harassment against you, which is where the community is used to apply gangstalking techniques, and you go out and about in the community, say if you go to a grocery store, like if this crime made you homeless, and you're homeless, right? Google that to gangstalking. Google all my descriptions to gangstalking. So, this crime made me homeless. So, I've been given permission at a couple places to be able to use the electrical outlet to charge my phone chargers. A grocery store and a laundromat. Right? Currently. So, I'm standing outside of a grocery store on hundreds of dates, and I'm charging my chargers, minding my own business, staying to myself, not bothering a soul. And then people are propped up to walk off. But I endure this everywhere. It's not just at this one grocery store. I endured it everywhere. I got 8,700 audio files showing people being propped up around me to repeat gangstalk, oh my god, gangstalk, oh my god, we're crazy, gangstalk, oh my god, suck my DSEK, gangstalk, oh my god, suck the DSEK, gangstalk, oh my god, suck the DSEK. Okay, hold on a second. I'm having a problem here with my gallery. Bear with me a second. Alright, hold on. Just one more second. Okay, so remember, the trigger words are connected to the ear implant. Now, these ear implants got low and high band filtering, right? So, if the ear implants got low and high band filtering, which means, okay, that when the ear implant, which has got a sound processor and a speech processor, when it hears a word being spoken in your environment, when you hear yourself talk, what it does is it takes the phonics of each word and interprets it by and through the mechanisms of the ear implant. It's a cochlear ear implant, and it's also Wi-Fi accessible. So that's how these ear implants interpret words, so that when the words get to the audio cortex, they come out in words. Because each word has got its own phonics, and each phonics of each word has got its own frequency. It's a sound interpreter. Okay? So when they prop up people around you to say the same exact identical words and phrases, each one of these same exact identical words and phrases got their own specific, unique sound frequency to each word. Okay? So if you're a gangstalking victim and you're enduring this, if you put tissue in your ears, if you wear a pair of construction site noise cancellation headphones that I bought from Amazon, if you listen to an audio file that you taped from a YouTube video, go to YouTube search box and type in Brian2, T-E-W, Jeff Rentz, His last name is spelled RENSCE. CIA Mind Control MK Ultra. You're going to run across 2 videos. One I think is an hour and 10 minutes long. The other one's an hour and 36 minutes long. Well, I tape that on my Amazon tape recorder, which is this one right here. And I've been listening to it while I'm at the store I'm being harassed at. And other places. Because this tape recorder is playing the audio of the YouTube video. So, the interview is between 2 people, Brian 2 and Jeff Renz. So that means they're talking. Right? So then that means if you got an ear implant in you, the ear implant is able to distinguish what you're hearing from the tape recorder, right? While you got tissue in your ears, while you got construction site noise cancellation headphones on. So what that is doing is that causing a lot of havoc for the brain to interpret the trigger words that's propped up around you as you're standing there listening to the audio file, as you got tissue in your ears, and as you got the noise cancellation headphones on, right? Well, they still got to be able to get that trigger word in through your ear so it activates its other purposes concerning why it's done. Okay? Auditory brain and resonance entrainment. Okay? And to create anxiety and stress as a result of being harassed. How do you think you'd feel if somebody was propped up around you every day for 11 years, everywhere you went, and repeats gangstalk, suck dick, and oh my god, or gangstalk, oh my god, and suck DSK? That then provokes emotions. Now you got emotional cluster frequencies that they're identifying and harvesting when those emotions are produced. The whole goal is auditory and visual brain entrainment. The visual entrainment is connected to the islands implants that I showed you a minute ago, and the auditory entrainment is connected to the sound harassments propped up around me at wooded areas along my routes, and through the trigger words that are propped up around me, said by usually just community members who are propped up around me as a result of the host of the crime knowing where I'm at. So if you're listening to the audio from a YouTube video, those words from the interview is being processed through the ear implant if you got an ear implant in you. Okay? Why do I got a laser surgery scar on the back of my right ear? I've never had consensual surgery in my life except when I had wisdom teeth pulled in '84. Right? So between the tissue in the ears, the noise cancellation headphones, and you listening to an audio file, they got to try and squeeze their sound in through the trigger word while you're doing all these things, while you're doing all these things in reference to getting out your chargers, getting them out. Multitasking also causes you to fall off the remote neural monitoring staying latched onto you, because multitasking causes other different neuronal activity to fire, causing other pathways to fire, causing the brain to fall off the potentiated frequency output of the auditory resonance entrainment neural pathway that they got you latched onto, which is an additional reason why the trigger words are said. Okay? In fact, it's one of the main reasons why it's said. Because the trigger words and their frequencies of their sounds of the words is what assisted in creating the auditory entrainment to begin with, while ultrasonic sound is being transferred through the ear as well. Okay? Ultrasonic sound, bone conduction, torture, and gang stalking. Now, I literally got 8,700 audio files showing people being propped up along all my routes, and in that 90% at least of all wooded areas I've used. Again, this crime made me homeless. Right? Caught on 8,700 audio files. Okay? So, if an ear implant works fine through high and low band filtering, where it is set up in its functionality to process speech and sound, and then the electrode that's put on the cochlear ear is what helps interpret the sound of each word, so then that word becomes apparent concerning what it is by the time it gets to the audio cortex. That's how cochlear ear implants work. That's why they're repeating identical words and phrases. Each identical word and phrases has its own specific sound frequency output. Okay? And so what they're doing is training the brain to recognize the sound of the words, because those sounds have frequencies. All right? And so what will interrupt that is multitasking, because it causes other neuronal activity to fire, causing the brain into other neuronal activity that then the brain switches to, and as a direct result, it is no longer the auditory resonance entrained pathway the remote neural monitoring has been kicked off of it. because the brain is now excited to do other things as a result of motor cortex associated behaviors of multitasking and the thoughts to do so of the task and then completing the task. It causes other neural activity to fire, causing the brain to fall off the entrained pathway that remote neural monitoring is latched onto. So they got to get you back on by exciting that auditory entrained pathway, which they do by and through repeating the trigger words, because the trigger words, each word has its own sound frequency. The brain hears it. The frequency of those words is part of the entrained pathway. That entrained pathway recognizes it. The potentiated frequency output from it fires. Remote neural monitoring acknowledges it and latches onto it. But when you're multitasking or listening to music, okay, or humming or singing, it causes you to fall off of it. So they got to get you back on it. But how can they get you back on it if you got tissue in your ears, while you got construction site noise cancellation headphones on, while you're listening to an audio file, okay, that's got an interview on it between two people who are also talking. When they're talking, they got words and phrases they're saying. Those words and phrases got their own sound frequencies to them. Okay? So you got to watch video 1 and 2. It's going to blow your mind. Now, I know this sounds like a lot, but it's going to blow your mind. So how can you then catch remote neural monitoring? Well, remote neural monitoring is interfacing with the brain at the speed of light. The brain processes information at a microsecond. So if you're listening to an audio file of an interview between Brian Two and Jeff Rentz, right? Yeah, so they can tell what video that you uploaded from the internet because cyber surveillance is reported by tens of thousands of gangstalking victims to be something they're enduring every second of every minute of all your online activity, whether it be on your phone, your computer, or a computer at a library. They are monitoring every single thing you do online for multiple purposes. They can see through your eyes, so they can tell you brought up a YouTube video. They can see that you put a tape recorder on in the record mode and taped it. If you got an ear implant in you and or they're monitoring your audio cortex by itself, they can hear you're listening to it. So then they tape that interview. And then they say, okay, here's a point in the audio file where Jeff Rentz is talking, then he stops for a fraction of a second before Brian Two replies or before Jeff Rentz continues to talk. During that fraction of a second, somebody walks by you and says Gangstalk. So if you went to YouTube search box and you went and typed it, because I can't bring it up on the phone that I'm doing this, you know, when you see me juggling back and forth, this phone is not in service contract right now, so I can't bring it up right now to show you what specific video I'm talking about, but it wouldn't matter. See, what you got to understand here is that gangstalking is a rabid dog. It's a salivating rabid dog. It salivates like a dog that's out there in the middle of the street that's got rabies. Literally, it's a rabid dog. It fiends like you would not believe, okay? So, when you fall off their radar, they're going to fiend like a bitch in heat to get you back on it. And they will do everything and anything. Which is why they're sensitizing gangstalking victims to a whole slew of different sounds. And concerning the visual entrainment, which is what directly connected to one of the purposes of why the islands implants are put in you non-consensually. Okay? Make sure you bring that YouTube video up and watch it. You can see that YouTube link there. That's dedicated to the visual entrainment and much more. Put there non-consensually. So think about what I'm saying. So say if you're listening to that interview and you listen to it over and over and over again, that's competing, okay, with the functionality and the achievement of their crimes pertaining to what they achieve when they prop up the trigger words around you. Because when I'm listening to an interview, that interview, those words in that interview got their own sound frequencies and stuff too. And then if that's crowding out, them propping up somebody directly around you, like 1 foot away, 2 foot away, 2 feet away, 6 inches away, 5 feet away, saying gangstalk and or oh my god and or suck D-I-C-K, how's that going to get through the tissue in the ears, the noise cancellation headphones, and the audio file you're listening to? It's not. While you're multitasking. It's not. It's going to cause extreme problems for them because it's not just the words they want the ear to hear, it's the words in its specific phonics of them, because those specific phonics, when the word is spoken, has specific sound frequencies to them. If you download a sound spectrum analyzer and you say the word gang, it's going to read out, when you're saying the gang, it's going to read out 86 hertz. When you say the ang of gang, it's going to read out 107. Okay? So just bring up a sound spectrum analyzer on your phone and say the word gangstalk 50 times. Say the words, oh my God, 50 times. And say the words suck D-I-C-K. Okay, 50 times. You don't spell it, you say it. 50 times. And then look at the 2 to 3 different specific hertz that come up and their decibels pertaining to each word. And each section of each word. Like the gang of gangstalk. Like the gang of gang. And then the ang of gang. Those are the sound frequencies they're after and their decibel levels. Okay? So how are they going to be able to squeeze the word in when you're listening to an interview while you got tissue in your ears and while you got noise cancellation headphones on? Well, they see what audio file you recorded. They see what YouTube video you recorded. They're still able to hear what you're listening to from the audio file. So they know those fractions of seconds between when Brian 2 is between saying something and stops to take a breath before he then continues his statement. And during that split second, gangstalker said, or suck dick, or oh my God. Now, when I get to a grocery store and I got my other tape recorder in the record mode while I'm playing this, and I make a statement in my tape recorder, let's see if this tape recorder picks up anybody saying gangstalk and or oh my God and or suck dick at that fraction of a second between Jeff Rentz and Brian 2's discussion, where Brian 2 might be saying something and then he takes a fraction of a second break, like I just took. And then suck dick is said right at that second. How do you think they know when that second is? How do you think they know when that second is? Because they took in all this information from seeing what I recorded. They took the in real time information of hearing what I'm listening to. And so therefore they know when that break is going to happen. So when they hear me listening to it and they see that break's coming up, what they do is they have a prepositioned gangstalker, literally a person using gangstalking crimes, standing around me. And he's told or she's told when their phone vibrates in their pocket, say gangstalk. During that brief fraction of a second, when Brian 2 is talking and he takes a breath, when you're taking a breath between words, or when you're ending a sentence of a discussion, and before you start the next second, less than a second, gangstalker said. So then you predict that it's going to happen this way and catch it over 30 times. Do you think that's an accident? Like if I say I'm going to go to Walmart, then I'm going to go to McDonald's. When you say the word Walmart and then I'm going to go to McDonald's, that's a brief fraction of a second there between sentences. That's when it's said. If I make a prediction in my Best Buy tape recorder as it's in the record mode, let's see if anybody says gangstalk, oh my God, or suck dick within 1 minute or even 30 seconds after I stop singing or humming, and it said caught on over 30 different occasions at 2 different locations, and it's caught because singing and humming causes you to fall off remote neural monitoring, because the phonics of the song, the phonics of the hum is different from the auditory resonance and train pathway they got you on. It causes you to fall off. They got to get you back on. So I say in my tape recorder, let's see if anybody says suck dick, gangstalk, or oh my God within 30 seconds to 1 minute or 3 minutes after I get done humming or singing, and it said, boom. Do you really believe that's an accident? You got a better chance, literally, of winning a multi-million-dollar lottery 3 times in 7 days when you play in random numbers than that being an accident. Because remember, I'm predicting it too. I'm predicting it too. So in closing, consider what I'm saying. The spot I'm sitting at right now, I think it was in April or May of 2021. I was sitting about 60 feet away. And from that spot, I was more than at least 400 feet off of a road. Okay? And they propped up some teenage girls to stand off the road, and they were yelling gangstalk and oh my God and suck dick and laughing. And so what I did was, right before they showed up, I was doing some projects, and I was trying to keep my mind busy and trying to keep my mind off of this crime and the exhaustion and the other targeting I was enduring in real time as I was doing my projects. So I started singing and humming to myself to keep my mind busy And then they started doing what they were doing. Right? And then so they stopped for a little while, and then I kept on doing my projects and started humming again, and so they started back up again. Now this occurred and was caught on a video and on my tape recorder after I had already predicted the same thing and caught the same thing at this grocery store on multiple dates. So remote neural monitoring monitors your data that's taken from what they're monitoring from you and analyzes it at billions at the speed of light. So it's able to determine that you're singing and humming. It's able to determine that you're multitasking, and it's able to determine when that second's coming up between the break of this of dialogue between two people who are having an interview that you got on your tape recorder that you're listening to. So during that fraction of a second, they got to prop up that trigger word in order to try and activate, the auditorial resonance entrainment. That the trigger words, the sounds of those the frequencies of those words, are connected to the auditory entrainment. That's directly connected also to the ultrasonic sound entrainment. Because you got to remember, ear implants in a Gangstalking victim's ears, running by and through low and high band filtering. The ear implants got to be able to distinguish the certain phonics of certain words in order for it to be able to interpret what the word is. So if you're listening to all this stuff and this shit is garbling that out, blocking that ear implant's ability to block it out, they got to squeeze it in. Now, I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but once I get an audio forensic specialist and show them these audio files and they're able to filter, it's clearly caught. But just to get an auditorial forensic specialist with their equipment and then having them use their equipment's going to be able to see it too, because the equipment will be able to determine the time differentials of that split second. We're talking about like 1/64th, 1/32th of a 1/32nd of a second, where they squeeze the word in between a brief fraction of a second break between words of the discussion of the audio file I was listening to, while my tape recorder was catching them saying it during that brief moment in time, after it was predicted. And when I'm making these predictions on my tape recorder, no one can hear me, except possibly for them. But you see, they're such fiends, they'll do it anyways. Don't tell me there's no way to catch remote neural monitoring. Because there is. It's got its limitations. You develop your own techniques to work around those limitations. And since they're such salivating fiends that will do anything and everything, they will compete for that fraction of a second just to get you back on. They're fiends. There's no way concerning the time differentials and what I've caught on my tape recorder. Tape recorders cannot have a mental illness. So in closing, go to YouTube search box and type in a YouTube search box, M as in Mary, MTS, Gangstalk, oh my God,